Hello, welcome to the channel and welcome back to Resurwreck Autos HQ. So guys, it is Friday. Made it through another week at the workshop. Today, we are going to be working back on the Renault Modus. Yeah, not happy. Not happy. Thought I was finished with that. Thought it was done. MOT'd, finished. But when I come back from the MOT centre, I noticed that there was oil still leaking from that engine, and I just cannot let it go as it is with oil leaking underneath the car. You just can't do it. For me, I just can't do it. So we're going to find out exactly what is going on and why it is leaking. We've really got to take off the complete front end to see it, because there's no room there. You can't see what is going on and where it's coming from. So we've really got to get some good space so we can see. So I'll get the Fiat 500 out the way for the minute. I'll bring in the Modus. I'll explain what's going on the front end. I'll show you a little bit about that. And then we're going to get cracked straight on with it and start ripping that car apart and finding out what is going on once and for all. So, let's do this. Right, guys, the Modus is back in the workshop. Yeah, we're not finished. We are not finished. And it's because it's not a lot. Like, don't get me wrong, it ain't a lot. But I cleaned up all underneath there with brake cleaner, cleaned up all the old oil. I thought we've solved it, but it's still dripping. And it's not a lot, but I've got to deal with it. I can't leave it like it. I can't sell it like it. I don't want to, we've got to deal with it. So, unfortunately, the whole front end's got to come off, because that's where it's leaking from. It's leaking from that front end. I thought it was coming from the dipstick. I've put some gasket sealer around the bottom of the actual dipstick holder to see if that will seal it. So that obviously ain't the reason, that's not where it's coming from. I've got a real bad feeling that it could be coming from the cam cover or the head gasket. So, yeah, both of those things are not easy. Even the cam cover, because on this engine, the actual cam cover it actually pushes the cams down. It holds the cams in place. So as soon as you remove the cam cover, the cams will lift up, and then you've got to deal with the timing belt. So you might as well do the timing belt. It will just go on and on and on. So I'm hoping that it's going to be something really silly and stupid. There is other bits and pieces around that area. The oil filter, oil cooler, there's sensors. It could be one of a number of things, or worst case is going to be the head gasket. But I can't see it coming from the head gasket. Oil leaking from a head gasket, I've never kind of heard of that before. But yeah, guys, I really don't know at this moment. So that is why I want to strip the front end completely off, and then run the engine, and then see where it's coming from, physically see and I'll show you exactly what is going on if we can find it. So a lot of work, but we've done it before. Let's get cracking. I'll set you up. Let's do this. Right, okay, guys, I've got to turn this off in a minute. Hold on. So I've had the car running now for about 20 minutes. Been revving it, trying to sort of, build up, push the oil around the system. And let me show you I've got to turn this off because it is loud. Let me take her up. And then I'll show you what I've found. Right, so already, these are fresh strips. You can see them there. 1, 2, 3, that one there as well. And look at that. That is fresh oil. Very, very clean, fresh oil. Just running down this sump. But how far up does it run? That's the trouble, isn't it? That's some part of the gearbox as well, isn't it? As it goes to that bit there. So if we want to drop this, it's even running off of that there, look. It's running down that pipe here, look. That's one of them drips there. So you can see that it's running just down there. I don't think it's the sump, because it's a very, very slightly higher point than the sump. It's something further up. But it's definitely leaking. Look at it. I think it's not, I don't think it's a sump. I think it's something further up higher. But we don't know. I can't see. There's just no room to see. So we've got to really take this apart. I think let's take the front end off. Everything, crash bar, rad pack, slam panel, everything. Just get it off. I know there's no air conditioning, so that's empty. I know that for a fact because I've already checked that. So that's okay. We'll drop the water, and then literally we'll just take the whole front end off. And we've got to get in there. Something is going on. Something is happening. And I think it's definitely higher than that sump. So, because it's an absolute mess in there. And I think it's just running down somewhere. So, yeah. We've got to find out what is going on. Right. God. It is what it is. It's got to be done. So, let's get set up. And I'm just going to start stripping this whole thing down. So let's do this. Right, okay. So, guys, let me get a torch. So as I've managed to keep the actual rad pack there, the water, the air conditioning, it's all sort of still in place. Took the slam panel off and it just lifted straight off the top. So it's given us good access at the minute, but we still might have to remove all this to gain access to what is going on in there. I have been spraying some sort of brake cleaner inside there just to sort of clean up all the oil, get rid of it all, and then obviously I can see, hopefully I can run the engine again, and then we can see exactly, or I can see exactly where it is coming from, and we can find it. But I don't want to run it whilst it's all the front ends off, like the water and the rad pack and all that. I just want to leave it all on whilst we're running the car. So now let's do the test. I'm going to run the engine and see exactly, if we can, exactly where it's coming from. I don't think it's coming from the cam cover. Cam cover's up here. That bit there is where the cam cover joins that fit. I don't think it's coming from that. And the head gasket is just in between those two there. And I don't think it's coming from that. It's too high. I've got looking at it, I've got a funny suspicious feeling that sensor, it's coming from those two. There's two sensors right there. I think it's coming from one of those two sensors there. But yeah, I'm hoping I can run the engine now and I can see it. What an absolute nightmare. What a joke. Yeah, what a nightmare. Right, okay, now let's do the test. Let's run the engine for a while and let's just see if we can work this out. Let's do this. Right, guys, very, very strange. I'm not seeing no oil leaks. So all I can come up with at the minute is that it's maybe because it needs to be driven. Just sitting there, the oil's not kicking around as much as what it would be if I was driving it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out into the actual yard, the way I am, and then just drive it up and down the yard a few times, just trying to get the circulation with the oil to see if, you know, it can, that's the reason why. And then obviously do that a few times up and down the yard and bring it back in, and then, yeah, have a good look at it straight away, and hopefully I can see where it's coming from. But I've got a funny feeling it's coming from one of those sensors. I don't think it's the top one. I think it's the bottom sensor that may be leaking oil, dripping, and it's just dripping out of that, and it's just dripping out of that, and then running down the plastic, and then just running down and down and down. That's my, yeah, that's what I think at this minute. But let me go and do that first, and then when I come back, I'll show you the results from that test. But we've got to find it, and we're going to deal with it, and we're going to sort it. So, yeah, bear with me, guys, and I'll see you in a minute. Right, guys, look at this. Look, I've just done a little test drive, and now I've come back in here. That is nice, fresh oil. Look at this line here, look. That's fresh oil, that is. Here. So something is definitely going on, but only when you drive it. So we've got to try and figure out what is going on here. But yeah, that's bad. Let me just put that up quickly. Yeah, look at that, look. Look at that. So where the hell is that leak coming from? We've got to strip this down further. I've got to get it all off to try and pinpoint what is going on here, because that's quite bad. I've got a funny feeling it's coming from the top of the sump. We've got to strip it down, right? But that's quite bad, isn't it? Do you see what I'm saying there? It's got to be sorted. Look at it, look. It is literally dripping from underneath here now. Wow. That's crazy. Right, okay. Let's get this front end off now and really see what is going on. It could be the sump, on top of the sump where the bolts are. I don't know, but we've got to get this sorted. So, yeah, let's do this. Right, guys, I'm really getting in there now. Look at that, look. I've had to keep it all connected because there is actually air conditioning in this system and we don't want to lose that. So I've had to sort of rest it there like that whilst we have a look in there. And now we can really see, we can really see in there now. There's a lot of space. So, yeah, just want to quickly show you if I can. So you can see where obviously the top there's those two I think they're sensors. I think there may be a sense. I think they're just sensors. Them ones there. But those two there, the one at the top don't seem to be have oil all over it, but the one on the bottom definitely has. It's even got it inside the plug, a little bit of oil in the plug. So I don't know why that's getting on there. Maybe the top one is dripping onto the bottom one. Maybe. I don't know what they are, them sensors, but it's such a difficult one. Such a difficult one to work out. I just really can't tell at the minute what is going on. It's not, nothing's really pinpoint, like, like the oil filter there. You can tell if that's dripping, because obviously it'll be dripping from the bottom of the oil filter, and you can tell where it's coming from. But I can't. I'm not getting no sort of. I'm really not getting anything that's pinpointing to this. I just don't know. I really don't know what is going on. Oh God. Can I put all this back together and run the car? Possibly. Can I? Bloody hell. I'm going to see if I can undo these sensors, in there, to see if I can work it out, see if that is the cause of the problem. That sensor at the bottom, I'm going to undo that and see if that gives me any sort of indication as to why this is happening. It could be that where that, that dipstick, the holder for the dipstick, which is that one at the bottom there, see that one there? It could be that hole there. It's coming from that. I just don't know. It's just really frustrating. But let me have a clean up. Let me see if I can work something out. Maybe I can put it back together a little bit and then run it. And then that, I don't know. I really don't know what to do in a minute. But let's keep going. Got to keep going, guys. We're going to work this out. We are going to work this out. Don't worry. So let's do this. Right, okay. Well, guys, I went out and got myself quickly another oil pressure sensor. That is exactly what this is, or switch. Oil pressure sensor switch. Anyway, we've got a new one in place right there. So, and as you can see, I've cleaned up all the oil. There's no water and there's no oil. The water's there because obviously I've disconnected the coolant and it just went everywhere. Yeah, it's very clean now. There's no oil over this top bit in here. And I think, do I think that's the main issue? No, I don't. I think that's going to be part of the issue. I still think that we've got an issue with the sump. I do honestly think that sump is leaking, maybe, because that was coming out quite a lot, and it's running down. Obviously, like, you can still see it. It's there. That's a lot of drips to come out, and I just don't think that switch was doing it. I think, I think that sump's got something to do with it as well. But we're not going to know until we put this all back together. So let's now put all those bits and pieces all back together, put it all back on, put the rad back in, get the water back in, let's get it up to temperature, let's run the car, and let's see if this if it's still doing it, and then we can have a look. But what an absolute pain. But even though it's an absolute pain, it's an oil leak, I'm still actually quite enjoying doing this, because it's something different. I'm taking the engine apart, I'm sort of doing bits and pieces, and we're figuring it out. We're getting down to the bottom of the issue and the problem. But yeah, let's carry on, and let's now put this all back together. Let's do this. Right, okay, so guys, we are all back together, and so far I'm not seeing anything in there, but we didn't see anything before, did we? So what I've really got to do is I've got to get it out into the yard again, go up and down the yard, and then bring it back in, and that's when it was causing the actual oil leak. So let me go and do that. I'll bring it back in, and I'll show you and let you know the results. All we can do is cross our fingers and see if that has done it. If it hasn't done it, then it's 100% something else. But let's just see how we go with this, another little test. So bear with me, guys. I'll see you in a bit. Right, well guys, great news. Let me show you. So I just took it up and down the yard, just to build up the oil pressure, just to really sort of push the engine a little bit. And let me show you. No oil leaks. Very, very clean. Wow, that's great. Honestly, that is fantastic. We've solved it. It was that oil pressure switch sensor. It was that. It was it. That's what was coming out of it. So what a result. I haven't got to touch the sump. I haven't got to touch the head gasket, the cam cover, the head gasket, anything like that at all, which I was kind of panicking. And this is what it was. It must have been, obviously, because of oil pressure, when it's just running like this, it's not really gaining oil pressure. But as soon as you drive it, the oil pressure was obviously just running out of this somewhere. But yeah, there you go. Just put a new one on. Cost me £8.99 for a new one. And that's what solved it. Even though I've had to take off the whole front end, we've had to strip it down, we had to get to the problem and the issue, and we've changed it. It's not cost really a lot of money. It's just cost me a day. And this little £9.99, it's ridiculous, isn't it? But it just shows you. Sometimes it can be something really, really simple and easy. And that's exactly what it is this time, which is absolute result. So we can now, obviously there's just all water everywhere and stuff like that, but that'll all sort of dry off. But we can now put it all back together, how it was, and we'll go from there. But what a result. Nice and clean up there. Look at that. And like before, it was running all down here, wasn't it? It was just running everywhere. So that's got to have been it. What a result. I'm well happy with that. Well chuffed. Right, okay, let's get set back up. Let's get it all back together. Let's do this. Right, okay. Well, there we go. She is all back together. Now I'm happy for it to go. I will keep an eye on it. I will take it to drive. I drive it about for a bit and then just keep an eye on it for a couple of days or whatever and keep checking it. But I think we've got it. I think we've done it. And for, like I said, it was... Where is it? $7.99, I think it was. $8.99, something. I can't even remember, but it was a tenner, and I got some change. So that was obviously the problem, wasn't it? It was when it was just running, you couldn't see it, but when it was under pressure, because it's a pressure switch or sensor, something must have failed inside this switch. And it just caused the oil to go everywhere. It was the only thing that makes sense, really, because the other one that was above it wasn't no oil over it. So above this switch, there was no oil. So it kind of makes sense that this was the culprit. And yeah, it was. So there we go. Right, okay. Well, guys, that is it. We've done with this car. Finally, I'm happy it can go for sale. It is Friday, so have a great weekend. And I'll see you Monday, guys, in the next one. Take care. Thanks for watching. and see you soon.